welcome to Sectors Up Close. I'm Angeline Ong. Now, our focus today is on media and telecoms, and my guest is John Stolfus, Chief Investment Strategist at Oppenheimer Asset Management. Now, the S&P Communications Services Index is a sector that includes a broad range of old and new media companies, from social media giants such as Alphabet and Meta Platforms, traditional media companies including Disney and Comcast, telecoms providers such as AT&T, to gaming companies such as Activision Blizzard. The sector is up around 23% over the past year, so broadly underperforming the wider market. It's also been a victim of this year's market volatility, sparked by concerns over the potential impact of higher interest rates on tech stocks. So what's in store this year and how should an investor approach it? Let's ask John Stolfus at Oppenheimer Asset Management. John, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, how do you rate the sector in light of the potential for higher rates this year?
Well, related to the potential for higher rates, we provided a perform rating. In other words, to perform in line with the market. But that said, we like the sector. It has a number of names that are likely to do very well, even if rates rise, because of the demand for their services.
Now, we've got Omicron now, of course, but a lot of analysts we're speaking to are saying that it could be short-lived, the impact of this variant. What is your earnings outlook, given that many of the companies that are on this sector are considered stay-at-home plays?
Well, related to the earnings outlook, I think the best way to reflect on that is it is the sector that the consensus analytics that's followed by FactSet, it is the sector that they are predicting will have the best price performance this year. Related to earnings, they would vary fairly widely because of the differences in the groups within it. If you consider traditional telecom, cable companies, traditional media, all of these that utilize the innovation of technology, but not necessarily innovators. And then you have the innovators. So it's a broad mix.
John, what's the biggest risk to this sector?
Well, Angelina, I would have to say that perhaps the biggest risk here is the regulatory risk with the European Union, as well as the UK and the United States, all taking a look at monopolistic problems that may exist within this space with a number of these very large companies in this sector. But it is expected that they will be able to navigate through it. And related to the US, an election year might mean a lot of noise about regulation in this space, but not as much action.
Now, John, this sector has a major issue in that Meta Platforms and Alphabet make up just under 45% of its $4.6 trillion market value, and that Meta, for example, has underperformed over the past 6 months. How would you navigate this as an investor?
Well, as a professional investor, and I would think private investors with the utilization of both ETFs and individual equities that are contained within the index or within the ETF itself, by using both alpha and beta approach, in other words, index plus individual sectors, you can custom tilt it so that your investment in the space is directed to your needs and objectives and what you favor in terms of your outlook within the space.
Right, thank you very much, John. We have to leave it there. John Stolfus at Oppenheimer Asset Management. Now, before I go, here are some of the top stories in this space. The Federal Aviation Administration began issuing notices that detail the impact of new 5G wireless services on aircraft electronics. The FAA began publishing so-called notices to air missions, offering details on, quote, aircraft with untested altimeters. The notices affect major airports and hospitals where helicopters are used. The FAA has been in talks with aircraft makers, airlines and wireless carriers to reduce the impact of new wireless services now set to begin on January 19th. The White House says it's encouraged by a U.S. judge's decision not to dismiss the Federal Trade Commission's antitrust lawsuit against Facebook. The FTC is suing Facebook Meta Platforms to force it to sell Instagram and WhatsApp. A federal judge on Wednesday ruled the lawsuit could proceed, bringing forward one of the biggest challenges the government has brought against big tech in decades. Meta said it was confident the company would win in court. And the Italian government has warned private equity group KKR over its bid to take Telecom Italia private in a deal worth $12 billion. The former monopoly, known as TIM, owns Italy's largest telecoms infrastructure. The government said Wednesday it wants to retain control of key strategic assets. It has the power to block any deal involving assets deemed to be of national importance. And that's your roundup of the communications services sector. I'm Angeline Ong, and this is Reuters.